Hey there, welcome to CNT Collectibles. I am C. Hope you're doing well. So, in theory, baseball season is upon us. We'll see how that actually works out, but I'm excited, and hopefully you're excited as well. So, before the season, I like to do just a few things to look at players. I use different projection systems for fantasy baseball, and I'll tweak them just a little bit based on a little bit of independent research. I don't go too crazy on it, but one of the things I look at is BABIP, and there's a few others, and I'll go through those as well as we head into the possible season. But you can kind of see who is maybe playing above their head, or maybe who is due for some positive regression the following season by combining some of these indicators. And so today we're going to look at some of the guys who put up the highest and lowest BABIP, or batting average and balls in play numbers, and see if we can spot a few regression candidates. So I'll use this for fantasy baseball. My baseball research as far as cards usually happens in the off season, where I'll put together my Hall of Fame tracker. I'm a little bit longer term bent on this one, but I'll use this as well, and I'll show you how. But this is my thought process. Thought just might be a little bit of fun here. So the definition of batting average and balls in play. This is from Major League MLB.com. It measures a player's batting average exclusively on balls hit into the field of play, removing outcomes not affected by the opposing defense, primarily home runs and strikeouts. So basically, what is your batting average on balls that are in play, I guess? Take away strikeouts, take away home runs. Defense can't control that. Are you getting lucky or unlucky is how some people would define it. I think there's a little bit of skill in there as well. But if you're a player that is hitting a bunch of bloopers and they're finding grass, you might be getting a little bit lucky. But if you're hitting a ton of line drives and they're right at people, you might be getting a little bit unlucky, and so you can measure this with the BABIP measurement. So can't think of the word I'm looking for there. So, anyways, let's look at some players that maybe were a little bit unlucky or lucky, and see under the hood why that might be. And so Teoscar Hernandez was a player that had a very high BABIP in 2021. So balls that were in play, he was getting on base at a 352 clip. Career, he was about a 324 BABIP guy. So players that are faster can carry a little bit higher BABIP typically. They can beat out some grounders and make a few things happen to get on base. Conversely, players that hit a ton of home runs, maybe they've got a little bit lower BABIP, even though home runs don't really factor into the equation. They're lowering the sample size, and it can be a little bit more skewed for the most part. So his batting average in 2021, 296. He rode a terrific season for Teoscar, so we would expect some regression from the BABIP, and that would affect his batting average overall. So you could see a drop into that 272 area. Now, over the last couple of years, why he may not regress, he's been an elite bat. He's dropped his strikeout rate over the last couple of years. He's increased his line drive rate and his medium contact percentage. So he's really become a different hitter over the last couple of years. So I don't think a straight regression is maybe fair, but if he came back down to 280, 285 or something like that, wouldn't be unexpected. So where this kind of plays into the card market, I suppose, is it's about is our number of channels really, but where I think the person that's harped on it the most has been our friend Dakota. And talks about expectations, but not just expectations, but you need to exceed your expectations in the season. Just meeting them is not enough to get the ball, to really get in, people that are buying their cars, to get them excited. So if you're meeting expectations, fine, that's what we were looking for. If you're exceeding it, then that really drives the interest. And so if you're looking for him to repeat what he did last year, temper those expectations, maybe wait into the season, ignore the preseason hype. And when you're getting into the season, maybe look for a soft spot or some regression before getting his cards if that's a player you're interested in. So that's how I would use it for card purposes anyways. All right, Jose Ramirez. In 2021, his batting average on balls in play was 250. His career on a 280 BABIP guy here. His batting average 266. He's really 280, 285 hitter, a little bit better than he was. And he was still a 6-win player, MVP candidate. An amazing player. So just think next year, even better perhaps. So that expected average, I don't know if it quite gets to that, but we should be looking at a little bit better than that 260 number. So one of the things that brought that number down was he had a 16% infield fly ball rate. Okay, that's quite high. And certainly for him, it's high as well. So if he's just giving up those easy outs, then that will hold the average down. So if he can drop that to more of his career area, then you're looking at MVP. He's near MVP by hitting 16% of his balls in the air in the infield. If he starts to straighten those out a little bit, then you're talking a solid MVP case. So awesome player who could get awesomer, I suppose. So all right, Bryce Harper. This is this is your MVP. So can he be MVP again next year? Sure, he could, but I think it's maybe he takes a little bit of a step back. In 2021, he had a 360 BABIP, and career is about a 320 guy. So here's one of those players that can hang. The major league average is around 300 on BABIP purposes, but with additional skill, you can get up to that 320 area, and that's where he's been. His batting average over 300. When he has these monster seasons, his last MVP a couple of years ago, and just when he has like MVP candidate seasons, he does tend to regress the next year, which is, he's still great, but not unexpected. So his expected batting average next year based on these measurements would be about a 275 average. I think projections have him upwards of 280, 285. So, again, looking for some regression. One of the things that really kind of stood out was his ground ball percentage and his sound contact rate, which actually rose a bit this year, and you're still able to perform it at an elite level, which is kind of crazy. So you're an MVP, and you increased your ground, hit more balls on the ground and hitting more things softly, and it's like, okay, you still won the MVP off of that one, which is impressive. But I would say yes, got a bit lucky. Look for some regression. Still be awesome. But I think the MVP maybe caught some people out of surprise last year, and that gave a lift to his cards this year. If they're going into the season, if they're buying a lot of his stuff and he's not at that MVP level, and be pretty darn close, I guess, but not this, then perhaps that leads to a softening of his market. Now, longer term track is pretty incredible, and use that opportunity should it arise to load up on Bryce Harper. Austin Meadows is a player I like going into last season, and I was wrong. We'll see. We'll give it one more chance here. 2021 BABIP 249, career BABIP about closer to a 300, so league average. His batting average is 234 in 2021, so we'd expect that average to rise on 278. When you look at his ground ball rate, his hard hit percentage, exit velocity, fly ball rate, pretty much every metric was really in line with his career average, and I think he actually dropped his strikeout rate decently. So everything just screams regression positively for Austin Meadows. So he was still a pretty 26, 27 home runs or something like that. So he's still serviceable. Now, what if he's a 27, 30? What if he's a 30 home run guy? Hitting 280, 285. That's a good number, and that's something that I think people could get on board with. So we'll see how this goes. He might be a decent little buy low action right here. Longer term, he's pretty well off the track at this point. So this is a card that in the season or next couple of seasons you'd want to exit if he does regress positively. But yeah, everything just lined up. There wasn't anything that was really sticking out as to why he just kind of fell off the wagon. It's just unlucky, and people have watched all of his games. Maybe you've got a little different take here, but basically he'd have to break down and forget how to play baseball, I think, to not improve somewhat next year. All right, Trey Turner, your hit leader, your batting average champion. So again, when people are the best in the league, what are the likelihood of them finishing the best again? So he can still be awesome, but maybe not the best again. We'll see how it goes. So came down to the last couple of days that he snuck that one out. So good for you. It was an awesome season. I'm sure like him going forward. So just because he's regressing doesn't mean he's going to suck or anything like that. Just means like, maybe it doesn't lead the league in batting again, which is pretty realistic. So 2021 BABIP 362 career, very high BABIP player because he's got excellent speed. He can make a lot of good things happen. His batting average 328, that led the league. Expected batting average, all right, 312. Okay, so he's regressing to awesome still. So again, what are the expectations for him? If it's MVP, sell. If his expectations elite, buy. So why he may not regress. His strikeout rate was up a bit from 2020, but it's within his career average. So we'll see. That if he starts to, if he lowers that strikeout rate, it means he's putting more balls in play, basically, and then you're subjecting it to the BABIP gods right there. So that's something that could happen when you're striking out and the balls are not in play. It doesn't hurt your BABIP, but put those balls in play, and if it's at a something less than what you were, if you're dropping down to 320 quick, then yes, you hurt that clip, and then you do hurt that existing BABIP, which you did last year in the BABIP department. So that's kind of how that one works. Nolan Arenado 2021. This is a positive regression candidate. It's kind of alternating here if you haven't figured that out yet. 2021 BABIP 249, batting average 250. Not a great Nolan Arenado years. Career BABIP is about 293, so his expecting batting average, again, if he gets up to that number, should be about 300. So we would expect some improvement out of Mr. Arenado. Now, over the last couple of years, he's increased his launch angle, but he's not an elite player in the exit velocity department. So, his average exit velocity is in the top 43% elite, so below the 50% below average, and his max exit velocity is about the 75th percentile of the league. You can look at this stuff on Baseball Savant. You really want to be in that 90 plus to have that elite number. So, putting the ball in the air a little bit more without the commensurate power is not a good combination. So we'd love to see him hit some more line drives. A lot of his home runs, I think almost all of his home runs last year were to left field. So he's a pull hitter, and he's got to put everything into it to get it out of the park here. So let's see him bring that launch angle down. Let's see some more line drives, hit the gaps, and get that batting average back up there. Again, his longer term path is amazing with his defense. He's defined the generation. With his defense, and so if he does, perhaps now is the time to start looking at him, because his expectations are pretty darn low going into the season, and this is a good long term target. All right, Randy Arozarena, 2021 BABIP 363, his career BABIP 357. So small sample size really. He had last year, and then the couple of weeks before that in the 2020 season where he hit every other ball was like leaving the park. He's got an excellent hit tool. There's no question about it. The home run rate, expecting that to fall off, it did, but still being able to hit, yeah, absolutely. So, his 2021 batting average 274. And we would expect that to drop just a little bit. This was the highest, one of the higher BABIP guys in the league, he and Tim Anderson. And maybe I should have just picked something with one of the guys with a bigger differential between their career and their 2021. So not looking for a ton of regression out of them. But I get like 50 views on my video, so how much time am I going to put into these things? So hey, I appreciate you watching though. So all right, why he may not regress. His strikeout rate increased soft percentage, decreased hard hit rate, and 50% ground ball, but he's got a lot of sprint speed. He's in the top 90% or top 10% of speed, so he can still beat out a lot of grounders. So again, if he can continue to get just a tad bit lucky, maybe he can maintain this, but these numbers aren't that far off from what he did. So I think a couple more years of doing this and you have what you have out of Mr. Arozarena, which is a pretty decent player. So all right, Francisco Lindor, Mr. Smile himself, 2021 BABIP 248, his career BABIP 292. No question, he was not on his game last year. So batting average last year, it was 230. We could look for that to rise. And so some of the contributing factors, the second half of the year, he started to kind of figure things out and get back on the track just a little bit here. So again, I lean more towards regression. We know what we get out of Mr. Lindor here, but why he may not is he struck out the highest percent of his career, going from 13 to 14% to 17% or 18% of the time. So he can be up there and still be an elite type plate presence here. So fewer line drives, higher fly balls. He increased his launch angle. So not a power guy at this point. You don't want to be doing this kind of stuff here. So what we would, and the lowest amount of contact in the zone of his career. So what we would like to see out of him is hit more line drives. Don't hit so many balls in the air, the higher fly ball rate and the launch angle. So don't play that game. Just get back to smoking some liners and hit 20-25 home runs a year or something like that. So if he continues what he did last year, we would expect some level of improvement, but probably not vintage Frankie Lindor or anything like that. So that's something to look out for. Tyler O'Neill had a nice breakout last year. 2021 BABIP 366, career BABIP closer to the 340 area, which is still probably high, but he's got elite level speed, so he's going to be able to maintain something a little bit more elevated in that 320, 330 area for a while. So 286 average. So we would expect, if we do see some regression, something down to 264. I don't know, that drops all the way down there, but 275, something like that with excellent defense and hitting 25, 30 home runs. Yeah, why not? So why he may not regress, so again, probably are going to see some regression, but why he may not is he's hitting more line drives, fewer ground balls, so getting the ball in the air a little bit is good. So elite sprint speed, so he can beat out a ton of stuff here. Hard hit rate and his exit velocity are all in that elite level here. So he's got thump, he's got speed. Everything came together for him last year. in this department, so maybe again a little bit of regression. So if this is a guy that really starts to get a lot of love in the preseason, now you know that the probabilities would say he's going to slow down just a tiny bit, but still be pretty darn good. But if you're not meeting that expectation, then what happens to your cards? There's like 3 or 4 guys that exceed their expectations to a point where people rush into those cards, and everybody else just kind of falls by the wayside during season. So Joey Gallo, 2021 BABIP 246, career BABIP 264, below the Mendoza line for the season. We'd expect him to creep back up above that, hopefully, not by much. You know what you're getting out of Joey Gallo. You're a bit of a windmill, and you're going to hit 40, 45 home runs. So why he may not regress to the positive. He decreased his hard hit percentage. He increased his soft contact, which you don't want to do. And he's hitting more balls on the ground, and he's not an elite sprinter by any stretch here anymore. Or if he was, he's not anymore. And if he never was, he's kind of still there. So guys like this, you want to hit it in the air, Joey. That's kind of your deal here. Or hit some line drives or something. So I'd love to see him have a ton of success next year. Big fan of his, and I think we'll see some better things out of him next year, if only marginally so. But playing excellent defense and hitting 40 bombs, you always got a spot in the lineup here. So Austin Riley, this was a popular name. Really had a terrific season last year, and I think people are looking for more good things from him this year. But maybe we need to temper our expectations just a bit. That 2021 BABIP 364 career in that 330 area. So that 300 average that he had last year may drop some. So if we're looking for another 300 average plus, maybe not 280, 285, something like that. That could certainly happen here. So we'll see how it goes. Why he may not regress? He increased his hard hit rate and barrel percentage, so he's really lining up the ball and squaring it up really, really well. Elite exit velocity, and he's making a ton of contact in the zone. So there's a lot of skill there, and maybe it's not 300 skill, maybe it's 285 skill or something like that. That's completely fair, and an exciting young player that I think can continue to produce at a very high level, just maybe not what he did last year, which was exceptional, and part of the reason why they won the World Series. So, all right, wrap it up here with Eugenio Suares. What a mess. 2021 BABIP 224. He's around a 300 BABIP player. In 2021, his average sub-Mendoza line, so we'd expect it to rise. Maybe not to that level. I mean, so if his BABIP goes up to like 280, then you're looking like a 250 hitter, which, again, looking for some improvement out of Eugenio. There's just something under the hood that wasn't right here. And here they are. Why he may not regress. He was hitting more balls in the air with a lower percentage of them being hard hit than in 2018 and 2019 when he had 83 combined home runs. He's hitting less balls out of the zone, which is actually balls outside the zone. You don't want to make a ton of contact with those because it's usually weaker contact. So that actually could be a good thing. But he was swinging at fewer balls outside the zone. He's making less contact with balls outside the zone. But he's actually been pretty good in the past at hitting. That's a skill set that he's had in the past. Those balls outside of the zone, he's been able to do some damage with them, and he wasn't doing anything with it last year. So total mess. Look for something better out of Mr. Suares, hopefully, and there it is. So all right, well that's what I got for you. I've got a few more of these to do. While we're ramping into the season, we'll look at some pitchers. We'll look at some of the home run guys, all that kind of good stuff, and of course the charts to see what the overall market is doing. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this stuff, drop a like, drop a subscribe. I'm going in the wrong direction with subscribers, so if you are watching, you're not subscribed, and you like this, please consider doing so, and we will talk to you later. Bye now.